Hey, I want to thank you for watching another Four Boxes video. Today's video is going to be about the second box of liberty, the ballot box. If you watch the others, you know the Four Boxes of Liberty is a concept about how we can secure our liberty as Americans. And the first box, of course, is the soapbox. The next box, the subject of today, is the ballot box. And the third is the jury box. And the fourth is the cartridge box. Remember, the caveat to all that is always use in those order. So today we're going to talk about the ballot box. I'm sure you all think, I know what about voting is. I understand voting. I just want to talk about real briefly how that secures our liberty. One way that it does is a small concept. To think of voting, think of it this way. Who decides? Who decides? That's what voting is in a democracy such as Greece, the Roman Republic, others throughout history, but those are the two that we know the most. People got to decide. They were a little more aligned as pure democracies. And of course, Rome was a republic until it became an empire. And the people were able to decide certain aspects of what went on. And that is really the question all through human history. The interaction of individuals and their governments is always the concept of who decides. Your vote is about who decides. Imagine if you were at home and you had no ability to make any decision. Now, if you're a kid and you're watching this, you may think, yeah, that's the way life is. But as you get older, it's not. We're a free people. Most of our lives are still free. However, I want you to get a perspective on thousands of years of human history and how many people have died securing the concept of who decides. Liberty has a few different concepts out there. Some is a collective concept. In other words, say the Germans versus the French. You know, if the Germans try to invade France, are the French going to be allowed to decide how French live, right? Or how the Germans going to be able to decide how French live? Are they going to decide, or are the French going to decide? That's one concept of liberty. Here in America, we speak mostly in terms of an individual liberty. And think about it in this terms: who decides? Thousands upon tens of thousands, and probably easily, I could say, millions have died throughout history trying to make those decisions, trying to get to decide who decides. We here in America, we're born with it. We're born here in America on this soil. We take it for granted, our citizenship. We take the ability to decide who sits in offices and represents us. We take it for granted. I want to encourage you, and you see I got my sticker on today. Where I voted last time, I kept the sticker, and so I thought I'd use it today. We get to decide. It's our voice. The first box is about a soapbox, which is a literal voice. And in our age, it's a social media voice and some other versions as well. But the second box is about you going to the ballot box, you going to the voting polls, you going out and making your voice heard in our system. And I will tell you this too. I used to be the voting rights assistance, or not the voting rights, but the voting assistance officer in my unit when I was in the Army. And they had us put up all these posters, you know, about vote, vote, vote. And I used to believe that. Now I don't encourage people to vote unless they also have a clue as to what's going on. If they don't have a clue, I honestly don't want them to vote. So I am not for this massive participation model anymore. I think the average American is walking through life blindly without a clue as to what's going on around them. And they need to wake up, because that vote does matter. It may not matter as much as you wish, and you may vote and then the guy does the opposite, or you vote and the guy you want loses, and you know, we get very frustrated. But guess what? Our voice is still being heard, and it is very important. And at times it's more important than others, obviously, and certain offices are more important than others. Get out there and vote. One of the most important votes you'll ever make is your local prosecutor. The local prosecutor is the guy that decides if you get into some sort of legal mess. He decides who he believes should be prosecuted or not. That's the person that decides whether or not the government should even try to put you in jail. Your local prosecutor has a lot to do with what goes on in your counties. And it's very important. That's just one example. One example of what is ignored by most, but a very, very important vote that really impacts your life. And we forget about it. But the ability to say who decides. Think about all the history, all the kings and emperors and queens, and all the revolutions and invasions and wars and so forth. What if the people could decide? And that is the grand experiment that is America. Is, can a people govern themselves? Can we be responsible with the reins of governing ourselves? And that's why our Constitution starts with we the people. Most people think of our government as this entity above us, and it's not. Our government is an entity below us. The Constitution starts with the words, "We the people," because the entire system is created by the people, not the other way around. And we were the first nation in history to be that way, and probably still the most that is truest to that concept. We the people are the governing body, and we set up a structure to do that for us while we go about our daily lives. And that's what we call the government. But we vote for the people that sit in that government. One more thing, and I'm not going to get into our structure too much because this is about how voting secures our liberty. That's the point. As they begin to take away our liberty, we begin to vote differently. So the voting is very important. It's very important. It is the second box in securing our liberty. It could be argued that it hasn't done a lot of good lately, and with the Donald Trump election, it could be easily argued that, wait a minute, the system really isn't rigged, and the people do have a major voice above the parties and above all the hubbub. We can really get in there somebody that the establishment doesn't like. I think this last election proved a lot about the voting process. It is important, and it can make, obviously, a planet's worth of difference. So anyways, just wanted to touch on a few. Oh, by the way, in our original system, the only thing we were supposed to vote for on the federal level was the House of Representatives. Nothing else were we supposed to vote on because we are not a democracy. We are a republic. And the idea of how to secure our liberty by the founders was to disperse power as much as possible, not allow it to be concentrated anywhere, even in the people. And that was to secure the rights of the people. That was not against the people, but for the people. So anyways, come in, hopefully in the next couple days, I will have box number 3 up and going. And I appreciate this. I still haven't learned to edit, so I appreciate you hanging in there with me through my ums and ahs and figuring it out as I go. But like you heard in the first video, it's all about just doing it and just getting it out there, and I'm learning as I go. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and hit the little bell on the notifications so that you will actually get a notification every time that I do a video. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and God bless America.